Okay, so the next fabric draping that we're going to do is another one that kind of really exploded my business when I started doing it. It was already a popular look that photographers in New York were doing. So I wanted to really incorporate that here because there really weren't a lot of people in Oklahoma doing it. So the next one we're going to go over is chiffon flowy fabric draping. So chiffon is the kind of fabric that you will use for this. It is sheer. I like to use the ones that are two-tone so they have kind of a metallic look to them. This is how I store them to make it easier and to keep you from getting hard folds anywhere on a hanger. So I'll do a little video showing that later, but for the sake of time, I'm just getting it off the hanger here. So again, you're just buying a large strip of fabric. For this flowy look, I always suggest at least 5 yards. I prefer 6 yards, sometimes even 7, so that you have all of this length to throw up in the air to make your shot dramatic. So all you're doing is once you buy your fabric, you're going to cut a strip off of the end. I did sew mine because this fabric frays, but you could totally use hot glue or something like that just to keep your ends from fraying. You just need a strip of the fabric so it's that same color and all looks like one piece. You just need a separate strip. I just throw that around my neck until we need it. And this one, what I like to do is find the middle of my fabric by lining up the ends so that I know where my middle is. Now from here, depending on the color that you use for this, you would want to make sure their undergarments are something that's not going to show through because this is sheer. So for my personal clients, we'll use a nude strapless bra that's close to their skin tone. And then undies we typically remove once they are draped so that you don't have a panty line on the side. But again, that's personal preference for you and your client to figure out. But for this, we've got her in black because this is black chiffon fabric draping. So all we are doing is turn to me, Krista, so they can see what I'm doing. You're taking that middle fabric, like the middle of it. You are coming around, literally like a shawl. Imagine it like a shawl. You are just coming around their back, around their arms, just like this. All you are doing is having your model hold the fabric. So Krista, just hold it there. That's all you're doing. You are going to come around the back side, take your strip of fabric. This is the hard part, or a little tricky part. You're coming in under their arms, but over the fabric, which I'll have my assistant move around this side so you can see the front of what I'm doing. So I'll take it back out. Now, what you're going to do is come under their arms, over the fabric that she's holding, so that it's right under the chest or right above the baby bump if this is maternity. This works for maternity and non-maternity. All you're doing is securing, and Krista, hold it a little bit tighter in, because you want it to be this, you want the strap to feel its tightest right under the bra. So make sure that feels snug to you under the bra, Krista. And literally you're just tying it in a bow, just securing it in the back so it's easy to take off later. Now, I'll go ahead and turn you just a smidge this way. Now, from here, all you are doing, see, she's let it go, and you've just got these 2 pieces of fabric held here, and we can always tighten this behind once we get this manipulated in the front. So all you're doing is pulling up on that fabric, and you are doing a very loose tuck into the bra. That is why a strapless is so important for this kind of look, because you need something to support the fabric. And then I just make sure that that same side is the upward side on the other side, so the back doesn't get twisted, and you just kind of manipulate the fabric as needed to get in there. And then you are just, again, taking that fabric, doing a very soft tuck into the strapless. Arms down, Krista. So now that we've got this, I'm going to pull this fabric in just a smidge tighter because my Krista is so tiny. And I want this to be nice and snug. So, yeah, Krista, hold that there.
Yeah, it's holding a booth.
This is the ease of fabric draping. You are literally just continuing to manipulate the fabric, which Krista, I'm going to have you pull this tighter. Mm-hmm. Pull the fabric tighter down here. And then all I'm doing is making sure that that strap is holding the fabric. Does that feel tighter? Yes. Holding the fabric super tight right underneath the bust. You want it pretty snug because the fabric will start to slip if you don't hold it securely. So all you're doing is just making sure that is tight, much better. So now you've got all of this fabric and you're just doing soft little tucks in the bust, however you want to, whatever fits the vibe. But the goal is that the sleeve is kind of this billowy, drapey, kind of Grecian goddess vibe on the arm. So that's that side. Go ahead and turn fully to the front. Same here. We're just doing some pretty little tucks here. And if it feels loose, just tuck tighter and continue to manipulate the fabric until you get there. And then you can pull tighter at the bottom. And then make sure that their arm, throw this arm down just for a second for me, Krista, just to make sure they have a little bit of movement in their arms so they don't feel like they're in a straitjacket, so that they can still pose for it. So now, from there, the fabric is still mostly just down the front of her body. You want to kind of pull it around to the side, and this is literally just pulling and tucking and pleating until you get it kind of pulled around the side of the body, so that when they turn to the side for side poses, especially for maternity, their hip and butt and panty would be covered. So all you're doing is pulling, pleating, tucking, and I'll have my assistant come in nice and close so you can see the up close detail of this pleating. So you are just pulling, pleating until you get fully around the side of the body. Same on this side. I'm going to turn you to the side so my assistant can get it up close. All of that pulling, tucking, and pleating, finding the edge of the fabric and kind of pulling it around the back side. So now, as Krista turns this way and then back to the front and then over to this side, you can see that she's got coverage around the sides of her body. So from here, all you are doing is throwing the fabric in different ways. And if you don't have an assistant with you or the client's husband or friend or sister or somebody, you don't have to throw it up in the air. You can just let it drape super pretty on the ground, and it still looks like an absolutely beautiful gown. And we use the hands during the posing to keep the fabric together over the belly so that it looks like it's a full dress and not just fabric draped around her. So you can see we've got the slit down the middle because the fabric was in two pieces in the front, so the leg slit can open up and let the leg come out of it, which is a really beautiful vibe for this look. So if she were maternity, she could have high-low on the bump. And typically the knee that bends, I like for that side of the hand to be at the low belly and then the other one high. So right there, it is pulling all of this closed over the belly so it looks like a real dress. And then this foot, let's bring the toe forward a little bit so that, so the leg really gets some length to it. And that's it. So just to show you guys what the drape would look like if you were throwing it, because this is one of my favorite looks to do, and it really exploded my business. Everybody loved this vibe whenever I first started shooting it. So I actually don't shoot it very often anymore. I think so many people did it here. I almost ran out of people that hadn't seen it, but it is so beautiful. So many maternity photographers here do it. I teach fabric draping classes all the time, so I've taught this to a ton of people, and now everybody's doing it, and I absolutely love it. So different ways that you can manipulate it for the shoots. I typically like to kind of hold it toward the end, not at the very corner, but toward the end, and just do soft little hops. You definitely want to have a flick of the wrist as you do it. And then don't be afraid to play with direction. A lot of times I will pull it toward the camera so that the end of the fabric is actually coming into the side of the frame a little bit. And then if you can have two assistants, one on each side, the looks get even more beautiful. And if you don't have two assistants, Krista, let's turn you slightly to that side. So just imagine if this were maternity, she had the bump out, and let's switch your legs. You always want the leg closest to the camera to be the one that bends. And then you can take both corners of the fabric or a little bit before the corner if the fabric is really long, and then have your assistant scoot back and then just start doing the hops this way. So this is the most beautiful, soft, romantic, flowy drape you can do. And it is absolutely stunning for the pictures. So I'm going to have my assistant come over. I'm going to have my assistant come over and do the side drape, and I'm going to take a quick shot so you guys can see what it photographs like. So go ahead and grab this, one on each side. Hold the back side just a smidge higher than the front side as you're throwing it up in the air. And Krista, just kind of look down the shoulder. Yep, and Selena, come in a little bit closer because you want the fabric to come into the backdrop as much as you can so that you get a lot of that flow. So come in even closer, Selena, even closer, right up to it. And then make the front one a little lower and the back one a little bit higher, and then start flicking. Yep. Oh, absolutely stunning. And then for one last one, I'm going to show you guys, we just kind of throw it up in the air and let it fall and grab it. So Selena, on 3, you're going to flick it up and just let it fall. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So for this flowy fabric draping, this is my favorite way to do it because it gives you the leg slit in the front. But instead of doing it around the shoulders, around the arms, you could just attach it to the neck and tie it in the back and have it be a halter. Same flowiness on the bottom. You could even just lay the entire fabric across the front of her so that the ends are extra long and it's just a soft drape there. Lots of things you can do with it, and you can find these two-tone metallic chiffon fabrics on Etsy, online, different places. I personally love shopping at OKC Fabric Market, and they do ship. So a lot of my students will order from there and they will ship it to wherever you're at. So it's a great option. They have a million colors in this two-tone metallic chiffon, and it photographs so beautifully. So that is the flowy chiffon fabric draping in a nutshell. Again, there's a lot more ways you could do it, but to save time, I'm just going to show you the one that I use the most often for my clients, which is this one. So now we're going to move on to the next fabric draping style.